Hello and welcome to the two-man power trip of wrestling. Your host, JP John Poz. With me today, very special guest, a wrestler, promoter, former WWF wrestler, Mr. Nick Barbieri. Nick, welcome in. How you doing?
Hey, thanks for having me here, John. I appreciate it.
What is going on in your world? What's going on with your promotion as well? What is the latest?
Well, yeah, the world and the promotion, a lot's going on. The last couple of years have been kind of a whirlwind getting back into the business after just kind of stepping away and worry about focusing on my career and everything. A couple 2 years ago, a good friend of mine, Kurt Adonis, who I helped train, and we had started a federation a long time ago called Millennium Wrestling Association around 99, 2000 ish. So we came up with an idea and concept was to take a wrestling concept and build it, go back to old 70s and 80s characters and larger than life characters, and kind of asking people to get off their phones and really like making this an environment that's really engaging. A combination of Disney in the beginning where you're meeting all the characters, and then all of a sudden, we have the villains are coming in and they're starting to give the Easter eggs and tell the story. So it's not so much cutting promos, it's telling a story in front of the fans. So we've had 6 shows. We're called Wrestling with Character Live, and it's everything on all social media and websites and social media websites, wrestlingwithcharacterlive.com. That's where you can find us. So we've had 6 shows. We have a residency at the VFW in New Britain, Connecticut. Each show has gotten better and better. Our talent believes in the product, and they come with creative energy, and they really enjoy coming. It's something different than all what all the other indies are doing, and all the way that they're presenting themselves. So here it's a little bit more silly, a little Saturday Night Live-ish, a little bit sketch comedy. And one of our business goals was to start running high schools, bringing back that old high school thing where you got your superstars or Hall of Famers who come in and you mix them in with the indie guys. And with this Wrestling with Character Live is we like to tell stories, not only in the ring, outside of the ring, but also different stories about like perseverance. And they're like life stories that we use and kind of portray and make that come to life in our interview segments. And sometimes the baby face loses and then he cuts a promo about how he needs to work harder and dig. So it's life lessons too, and I think that's gotten us at the level to be involved with youth groups and schools and like working hand in hand with the community. So that's been everything we've been encompassing, and we got to that point, and we've got our first high school show. We're really excited about. We have Killer Cross and Scarlett on there. They're main eventing. Mm-hmm. It's called Wrestling with Cross. So we have them main eventing. The Mountie is making an appearance, which I'm really excited for. I've kind of marked out for that, really. And, I kind of giggling with all the storylines and things we're doing and ideas we're having. And he's so cooperative, and it just makes it more fun. That's that positive energy. We have Dijak on the show, Mercedes Martinez. It's in her hometown. So that brings a level of excitement and fun. We have the Monarchy, which is Ariel and King BMT, Queen Ariel and BMT. So we get to blend our characters in with these superstars. And I'm excited to put the show together and entertain everybody.
Seems like part wrestling, part Broadway, part improv, part comedy. Like you're kind of mixing in a bunch of cool things there.
Yes. Yeah. There's Easter eggs all over the place. And if you're on your cell phone, you're missing something. So we even come out, we do a monologue to open the show. Lauren St. James plays a character called Tinsel, and she comes out and cuts like corny jokes on the crowd and everything. And then we introduce our host, Kurt, who comes out, and we start the energy off right away that way. So it is something, it's a completely different experience and a lot of fun to put together.
How did you kind of come up with it? Like when you're kind of putting it together, are you saying I want to blend things together, or how did you kind of just, put that all together and put all the puzzle pieces together?
Sorry about that.
No problem.
Hold on one second. Sorry about that. That was my alarm to tell me to meet with you. Is everything okay?
Yeah. Yep.
All right. Yeah. So, could you repeat the question? I apologize.
How did you put it all together when you were initially created it?
When we initially created it, we both, Kurt had worked for ESPN and Disney. So we had gone I think we had a 16-year run where we went every single year. So we were kind of big fans of that, of the idea of Disney. I'm a teacher, and I went to a baseball game, one of the minor league baseballs that had a special day for unified sports. And, we brought about 30 students with us, and we're all excited to see us build community and be engaged in the game. And for the first 3 innings, the kids were over at the concession in the merchandise stand. So that gave me kind of an idea, how can I use wrestling to get people engaged and capture their attention? And my business partner, Kurt, being involved in Disney, he also had the same thing. We always believed in the larger life characters. We liked the 80s and 90s characters, and, from the Big Boss Man and the Mountie, and, we like gimmicks. So, it was bringing that education in Disney, our backgrounds, and our love for wrestling, and kind of taking the ball and running with it and being creative and, trying to make each other laugh, trying to make the boys laugh. And that's why I think our locker room is a fun place to be on the day of a show. A lot of hugs and a lot of laughter and people outdoing each other in worksmanship, which I think is awesome.
Did you have any background in improv or comedy or anything besides that? I know you said teaching and stuff, but did you ever have a background in that?
No, not at all. I think just my independent wrestling. I did that for a decade or so. So I think that was all improv, and I didn't mind playing characters. I played a 90210 character. I played a hippie. I played a mask guy. I played a coach. I played a henchman, Preppy, for Tim McNeely. I think I still am, maybe, for him. But that's I was always open-minded, and I think the workers who come and work for us on our shows, they're very open-minded too. So having people that kind of think the same way, I think that really helps our locker room out a lot.
When you initially are putting this together, do you ever imagine the success? Like you said, bring in a Killer Cross and you bring in the Mountie stuff. Could you ever imagine that, or did you kind of not foresee that coming?
That was the vision. Kurt, especially, and we've worked a lot of conventions for wrestling shows. So, we were learning, we were working for that and also learning at the same time and helping build how it would look in our environment. One of the really cool things about November 16 with Wrestling with Cross, this is at AC Wilcox Tech in Meriden, Connecticut. One of the really neat things is we get to take that pre-show atmosphere I just talked about, how you get to meet all the baby faces and the villains come in and they set the storyline. Well, we have a 3-hour autograph session where we're going to be able to take our time a little bit, and a stage area, but we have the best trivia ever is coming in, and they're doing wrestling trivia. So we're going to have music and more engagement in that part, so they won't just be in line on their phones. We're going to be engaging them and giving them all that entertainment around. And I'm looking forward to writing that up a little bit. I don't know what it's going to, I got this October 25th show coming up. So I'm putting that excitement and ideas just on a notepad while I focus on this one. But, we're going to do some really, really entertaining and cool stuff. And I'm looking forward to that.
So who else do you got coming up? Because you got some big shows coming up after that too, right? Do you have another show coming up?
So we have a show October 25th. That's our residency at the New Britain, Connecticut VFW. Then we have our show on November 16th at AC Wilcox Tech in Meriden, Connecticut. That's a Sunday show. And then on December 14th, we come back with Holiday Hijinks 2. And that's our same fundraising group. They're a nationwide 501(c) that we work with, and they're the Beautiful Lives Project. And they give folks with disabilities opportunities. And the opportunity with our wrestling show is they get sponsors to pay for the tickets, and they give the tickets to all their members and their aides so they can come. So that's a really
Awesome.
fun holiday show it's our second time around, and Tony G has been really supportive. He's the president of that group, and it's fun to work with them. And when you get to work with somebody a second time around, everything just gets better. So even on the community end of that, we're branching out and reaching out, and there's a local college over here, Central Connecticut State University, that we're asking them to be a part of the trunk or treat, and Tony G kind of has ties in there, and I'm an alumni, so it's starting to kind of grow a little bit bigger, and hey, maybe one day there might be a show there, who knows.
Now let's rewind all the way back, because I'm very curious of this. How did you get into the business? Who trained you? Is anybody we would know?
Okay, this history is different. I was a big backyard wrestler like in the 88, 90s. Maybe not jumping off buildings or anything, but we did carry mattresses around on the top of my friend's Crown Victoria,
Nice.
strapping that on, and having the St. Patrick's Day massacre at our local park, in the baseball cage. So I started off like that. When I kind of got out of middle school, I went to high school, and in high school, I met another backyard federation, and we combined our forces, and that's where I first met Pete Polacco, or you would know him as Aldo Montoya or Justin Credible. So we knew each other since freshman year of high school. He's a year older, so he was a sophomore. So we wrestled in the backyard, and we did that for all the way till we graduated, pretty much. And we played those characters, and we had records, and we had belts, and we had storylines. So I think my whole life I've been kind of preparing for this, moment in the next stage of my career. We met, and there, when I was a senior, PJ went up to train with the Hart Brothers school up there, and he trained a year. After that, he came back, and then I had graduated. I had some unfortunate thing where I didn't make a safe school for college, and I put the financial bar really high when my family couldn't afford it. So that kind of put me in, I'm going to be a wrestler. So I was a JV wrestling coach at the time, and I had the key to the mat room. So PJ and I would go into the mat room, and I learned how to bump and work on mats and run all those spots, till we had heard that about 45 minutes away in Orange, Connecticut, there was a wrestling ring, and Dr. David D. Schultz had just given up his school to Paul Roma, and there was a small group of people training down there in Orange. It was Quest Gym in Orange, Connecticut. And we probably got a couple sessions in that ring ourselves before we ended up meeting Paul Roma, who was with Tony DeVita and Mike Bell and a few others, Ralph and Aaron. So there was like the New York crew, and then there was us. So we worked together, and we trained together, and pretty quickly, within like 3 months, Paul Roma took PJ and I as extras. He was named one of the 4 horsemen at the time in WCW. So we got to go down with him, and that was our first opportunity at jobbing, or talent enhancement, if you would.
Yep.
Down in Florida. So they were the studio tapings down at MGM.
Who'd you end up working down there? Did you get on TV a bunch?
Yeah, I worked several people. Ricky Steamboat was one of them, and that was
Wow.
pretty awesome. If I could say, if I had a list of people I did get to work down there, I got to work Steamboat at those tapings. I worked the Nasty Boys at those tapings. I worked Kevin Sullivan and Evad. It was his brother, remember? And he spelled his name backwards.
Dave.
There. Yep.
Evad.
Yep. I worked them, and I actually did that. I believe that match was with Chris Canyon as well, as he was the other talent enhancement with me. Johnny B. Bad I got to work, which is cool. I didn't remember that till just now. Other people I worked on the tour, I might have been back with them, and I can't really remember. It was like 93-ish. But I got to go. I wrestled Harlem Heat's dark match. I know that. I had the opportunity to work Rick Rude and David Sullivan in a tag match, and Scott Demore was my tag team partner, which is pretty cool. So yeah, I got to do some really fun stuff. Well, we followed a tour down there where they used to where the NWA used to do all these horse barns and everything, and WCW was following that loop. So it was kind of neat to see that little history there and hear about stuff. I think one of the cool things that you think you joggle my memory here is, when we were doing the studio tapings down in Florida,
the nights, they like WCW, we were all staying at the same resort and we were getting shuttled in. So we all had our own rooms and everything. But at night, there was different things. They had a casino night and they had like a volleyball tournament. So I can remember like being on Dustin Rhodes' volleyball team down there at that time. So I got to ride with Steve Austin, which was really cool. I know we stayed in Kissimmee like for like 3 or 4 days on whatever loop we were doing. And that was a cool experience playing cards with him and like not marking out so much, but knowing his history and talking to him about what he had done, prior to WCW, which I can't think of now, but playing darts with Paul Orndorff and these guys. And I'm 19 drinking Guinnesses and shooting darts in an Irish bar, which is kind of a fun experience, when you're growing up. It reminds me a lot of that movie, Almost Famous, that 90s movie, which when I see it, definitely I relate to it very much so.
What was Austin like, though, personality-wise? Was he easy to get along with?
Oh, very fun. We were suplexing and high cross bodying in the pool. Like, I remember being like silly teenage boys with him and, running spots in the pool. I do remember that. And yeah, how long could you hold a suplex? So it was really down to earth. And, like he had that same type of humor, that like, I'll catch you in a joke, you think I'm serious, but I'm going to get you. So he always had that type of humor, and he had hair at that point too.
Right. Yeah. He was stunning, Steve, at that point, rather than Stone Cold.
Yeah.
Stunning.
Yeah. And like right after that, I remember that was his match with Ricky Steamboat. After that, that was just like one of the like best matches ever. So, it was neat to see that and relay to him, hey, that was the best match ever. And, I remember watching Raw with him when we were down there. So it was definitely a cool part of memory lane and being 19 years old and hanging out with superstars and people you've idolized and imitated in the backyard. And now you're like rubbing elbows and, running spots with them.
Did you foresee Austin becoming the star he became, though? Did you see that in him?
I always thought he was great, like that Steamboat and his work rate. I think I was too young at that time to realize it, but I did remember him saying, in order to be good, you need to watch everything on TV. And like he was doing the right things and trying to be the best he could be. And that was evident in like eating. And like I remember like we went something and I got like fried chicken and he's like no, that's not gonna help you, kid. And he's like, you need to be eating grilled chicken and like coaching me up, but like he was practicing the right things himself. And and he was trying to teach the young guys what to do, encouraging the gym and asking, when you're traveling on the road for hours, asking about workouts and he's kind of giving that advice.
So when you're there, right, and you're getting booked, is it one of those things where Roma gets paid and then he gives you guys the money, or you guys get paid because you're down there as well? Is it one of those type of deals?
We signed. It was pretty much we were signing. You have to sign your contract or waiver in the beginning, so you're on your own. Like, and there's a group of talent enhancement. So I know from the WWF/WWE, there like some wrestling schools would work and get booked. So like Tony Garea or Rene Goulet would reach out and book us, but he would book us individually. Some schools, they would go to the like head of the school and they would book 6 students from that school. And then that person would get the money and then he would take a percentage or a cut, like a booking fee off of it. But I didn't experience that part of it, but it did exist back then in the 90s. It was like that book. I got you booked and you owe me a percentage of your money.
Yep. Gary Sabo, the Italian Stallion with the Hardy Boys. There's that famous story where, he got them booked. He was literally driving them to the shows and getting them booked. So he takes the money and then he kind of divvies it out. Obviously, if he's paying for the hotel and that, I mean, you got to work that out with him. But then the Hardys started getting booked by themselves.
Yep. And I was there at the same time, Jeff.
Right.
And Matt were there. We were like the same age group and like at the same tapings with each other, like Barry Hardy and Dwayne Gill, Mike Moraldo, Reno Riggins. A lot of those guys, we were the crew that was the talent enhancement. It was regional, but like I did get to go and do a loop, a Kentucky, Indiana loop, like an old school USWA loop that was like really cool. Scott Taylor was someone I remember being on tour with there. That was neat to experience.
Very cool. Mike Baraldo, A. Starling's my buddy. I just talking to him the other day. So pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. Nice. We were actually, it's funny, he was working a signing not that long ago, and Kevin Nash was there, and Nash remembered this spot in a match that Mike did where he kind of like face pied him over the rope, whatever. Nash remembered the spot, almost more than Ace did. I was like, wow, look at Nash. What great recall there.
Yep. I remember that, and I wrestled him and Sean for, I don't know if we got to go for the tag titles, but I believe the match was in Maine, and the end, Sean was pinning my partner, and Kevin Nash comes over and he trips a little bit, and I catch his forearm right in my eye, right at the finish of the match, and popped me. But yeah, that's what I remember with Kevin Nash.
Did he apologize for that?
Yeah, he did. It probably made it a joke. I was also I was traveling with those guys a lot under PJ, so I got to kind of know them a little bit differently as well. Especially in the jokester type of way that PJ and I were, as being the young boys and kind of entertaining them on the road a little bit.
PJ, the forgotten member of the Clique, pretty much. He was technically a member. People don't mention it, but he was.
Mm-hmm. And that might not be on TV. It's the real of who's traveling around. And I know B, Bell, and DeVito. We got to do many, especially in the Poughkeepsie area, Fishkill and everything. All those loops that were in that part of New York. We got to hang out with them and spend time and travel time.
How do you get the WCW booking, then the WWE booking? Is that Roma too? How does that happen? How do you then do all the WWF jobs?
So the WCW I did, and then I don't know if Roma was there anymore, but he got us in the WWF. Maybe by Tony Garea reaching out to him from maybe past relationships. Maybe he reached out knowing he had his local school in Connecticut and say, "Hey, guys, do you have any guys ready?" So I think it might be the Tony Garea connection.
So when he does that again, so then you become friendly with Garea, and then he reaches out all the time for bookings. It's almost as simple as that.
Yes. Rene Goulet, Tony Garea, Tim White, Howard Finkel. Those were kind of my go-to people. An ironic story. Tony Garea is one of my dad's best friend's son was good friends with Tony Garea. So I kind of knew Tony Garea before I even got into wrestling, which I came around, and then he's after a couple bookings, I'm like, "Hey Tony, I'm Rich Barbieri's son," and he's like, "Holy cow, really?" So that was a full circle moment.
With that, with knowing him and stuff, does that mean you're going to get more bookings or not necessarily?
Yes. Back then, definitely, because everything was done by phone. So I know I missed a booking because I remember I was in the shower and they called, and it was on my answering machine. They called to wrestle Kama. They needed someone to go to drive down to New York, and I missed the call. And when I got out of the shower, I listened. I call up, and Mike Bell got the booking. So,
wow.
Yes, there was maybe a pecking order of who they called in an order locally, and who they knew. It was probably written in a little book, for all
back then.
We didn't have phones.
Yeah, definitely like a notebook, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
the old Vince McMahon senior notebook he's carrying around.
Yep.
So when you're doing it right, specifically, it's just, hey, we want you to come in. You're an enhancement guy. We want you coming in to do a job. Is it a set list of dates you're working, or is it literally one-offs like that?
So back then it would be Saturday, Sunday, Monday because of Raw. So I was at the first Raws and everything. I didn't get used, but I was at those first Raws in Manhattan. Even there was something at the Trade Center that happened, which was pretty kind of scary, being right there at the Manhattan Center when it happened. I think it was something in a parking garage or something at the time.
Yeah.
Yep. So I remember Doink being there. Yeah, the original Matt Bourne Doink, smoking a cigarette in the locker room. when you got booked, then you would go in and then there would be a listing of the matches. So you'd kind of wait around, pretty much after catering and everything, and the list would be posted, and then who you were working for the day.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you do that, right? Like obviously, you know who you're working and stuff. Is there a chance that you're not going to work at all? Like they call you in, you don't get work. Do you still get paid though, or how does that work as far as that?
You still get paid. You're like it's in like an independent contract. We got paid $250, and they paid.
Oh wow, pretty good.
Yeah, especially in 1994, it was really good. Going away for 3 days, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and you wouldn't get used on Raw a lot. Sometimes, but you were just there just in case. So they would keep X number, whether it was 4 or 6, just on hand. If you're carrying Mabel or you were doing things, your stage hands too, in that way.
Extras, if you will, like you're going to be doing something, probably more than likely.
Yeah, and you're in, you're in the business, so you could act and play that role. I think I did the Druid a few times. I've done the Druid a few times for the Undertaker.
Do you ever like request to do something, or you're not going to do that? You're not going to be like, I can't do this.
I don't think I ever really requested. Some of the boys would request to work some of the talent enhancement guys, because they can make them look good or get them over, or I got pulled in the ring and Pierre, we were practicing before the match because he wanted to try new things. So he's like, I want to work, Barbieri, and then we go in the ring and we just worked on a couple of those spots that he wanted to do because, for a big guy, he was definitely ahead of his time, in the aerial stuff. So, he just wanted to make sure, from Frankensteiners to his dive bomb over the top rope there, that everything was going to be safe for he and I.
I remember talking to Chris Hambrick, who was around there at the same time as well, and I guess Owen had saw him take a crazy bump or something. So Owen was like, "I want to work with this guy," because he wanted to do the crazy bump in the match. So I guess that happens a lot where he's like, "I want to work with this guy."
Yes, 100%. I know me and PJ as Aldo Montoya. We got away with it 2 times, and they're like, we're not letting this happen again. So it could work the other way as well. So, and at that time they surely didn't want you working the same guy more than, on Superstars and Challenge, because they wanted it to be different as well. So
right.
They were conscious about, juggling the jobbers around.
What did you think about Aldo and wrestling him and everything else? What did you think about him in ring? I always thought he was great.
Oh, he's just smooth. Training with him and wrestling in the backyard, we had a chemistry. If you go back and watch our matches on YouTube, it doesn't even look like I'm a talent enhancement, So he makes me look better too, for sure. But there's some guys you just develop a chemistry with, whether you're training with them or they're really just easy to work with. I've come back from my Hello Goodbye tour, I'm calling it, as the hippie freak. The social media stuff and podcasts have made some people that were fans of mine back in the day, asked for come out and, do some nostalgic things. So I had the opportunity to work someone called Hazard 23, and you could just tell how smooth and easy, and, from him making me look good to, he's making me look good, I'm making him look good, kind of feeding off of each other. But boy, when it came time for the hot tag, and I was in there with him, it just was so smooth. And some people just have it where it's just easy, and that was nice to see. I also had the opportunity to work BRG as well in the last few months, and again, he as well. It was just everything was just so smooth. It reminds me of when I said when I worked Ricky Steamboat, it was just easy and light, and it just flew, it just went together. And with those guys, I kind of felt that a little bit. It wasn't rigid or edgy, it was, the timing was there. And me being for 51 years old and trying to get back in there and move around, it's kind of nice to have that, security, I guess.
Is Steamboat just luck of the draw that you get to work him, or how did that happen?
Yeah, that was luck of the draw. I think I was green, and they probably put me with him on the list. because they're saying, well, he can make a broom look good, so he can make this GQ Garfield Quinn kid look good too. Kid looks like he's 14,
Right.
Yeah.
How does it, like Yoko's doing on Raw, for instance? Like that's again luck of the draw, or they're looking for a certain guy, versus a certain other guy. You know what I mean? Versus a certain superstar.
Yeah, I don't know that exactly. Maybe in size or whatever, because or muscle or what have you. Maybe that's I would say that's how I would do it if I didn't know someone and I had to pair them up. Because you have two big guys against each other in a talent enhancement match, or if the one guy's bigger than the other, you don't kind of want to do that, I guess. So I don't really know who kind of ultimately picked that, but I think it was, the Rene Goulet and the Tony Gareas knowing the enhancement and knowing who to put them with.
Makes sense. So what did you work most, like as far as WWF? Because you worked a lot of WWF matches. Was it Raw? Was it Superstars? Was it Challenge? What do you think you worked the most? 'Cause you were on Raw a bunch.
Yeah, I got to work Neidhart. I don't think I worked Raw too much. I know I worked Neidhart on there.
Heavenly Bodies, maybe? I'm trying to think.
No, I think that was Challenge and Superstars.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, there's only a few Raws, I want to say. I know Jim Neidhart. I think I main evented Raw one time against Jim Neidhart.
Oh, nice to have on the resume.
We were the last match, right? So,
technically speaking, yeah, that's the main event. Did you have any extra pressure, like as far as like, hey, or this is a TV match versus a dark match? Like, does that mean anything to you, or is the pressure all on the guy you're wrestling?
I think just being thrown in there, and when I first was with WCW, I think I just got it out of me. I kind of learned quick and just, I think, had the confidence. I don't think I was scared or anything. I think I was confident. I watched wrestling a lot. So creatively with spots, I knew what I can do, and I would offer to the stars, hey, maybe we can get to your spot by doing this. And they would listen to me because, the enhancement matches are pretty much like cookie cutter of showing off your moveset. And, after being on the road a lot, they're like, I don't feel like calling a match. I just want to do the moveset. But if you could energize them a little bit and make them laugh and get them back to that youthful, why they loved wrestling, I think that's why in my matches, I tend to get a little bit more than other people, because I offered the suggestions to them. Is I remember when I wrestled Henry O'Godwin, I'm like, hey, I could get in, you like to do this move, I can get into it this way, let's do it off. And he's like, okay, we'll try that. So I think the courage to offer that to them allowed for me more offensive sets, I think, in my matches than maybe other people.
Love that. Yeah, spicing it up a little bit rather than your cookie cutter generic enhancement match.
Yes.
So how would you describe if somebody said, hey, what is an enhancement talent? If they say jobber, I know some guys hate that term, job. How would you describe it and put it together? Some guys even call it a carpenter.
My job was to make them look better. And I think entering with that philosophy of just, I'm here to make you look good. I think I also took that into my teaching life, and some of my friendships was it became a little bit of a mantra. How can I make you good? I don't think I was so self-centered, ego wise like that. I was always willing to work and figure out I'm gonna work with you to get to this point. So I think that also just helped the mindset of it all.
When you're doing that, right, do you hate the term jobber like some of the guys do? They absolutely hate that term.
And no. So it was. I don't really. I think it's funny. If you could look at Al Snow and the Job Squad, I laugh. I think it's right there. Just exposes it as you got to take it with a grain of salt.
Right,
I think the jobber term, if you look at I just want to go with the Iron Sheik and that generation. I think they used it as a slang, and then it just loosened up a little bit. And whether you're jobber or jabroni or all that, The Rock poking fun at it, it doesn't, whatever. It was talent enhancement, a jobber, an extra, whatever you want to call. I don't know. I embrace it all.
I know Vince McMahon did not like that term. He liked the term enhancement talent. That's what he preferred, right?
Yes, yes, but you don't want to make anybody look. You don't want to you don't want to downgrade anybody, right? So that's
Right, of
good
course.
business sense. Yeah.
Any sort of contact with Vince at all, or strictly with Goulet and Garea, and those guys?
And Howard Finkel, no one specifically, no one to that tier. I shook his hand maybe once or twice, but nothing more, nothing more than that with the more top executives, I guess you could say.
He was in your neck of the woods recently, at the court fighting his reckless driving.
Yes, it was all positive today. I saw, so all right, I guess.
Yeah,
I didn't get followed off. I don't know. I didn't click on everything today.
Yeah, apparently he's not going to be in trouble. He's going to have to.
I did see the haircut. It was more of the haircut I was paying attention to.
Right, he always had that pompadour, whatever you want to call it, that hair, but never was it white here, like a skunk almost, and then the black, right? Crazy.
Yeah. Hey, he's trying to reinvent himself, right?
Yeah, I guess that's one way to look at it. I guess, yeah, right, for sure. He's speeding around town, apparently, though. You know what I mean? He's got to slow down. Apparently, he's never a good driver.
I don't know.
So who else did you work with there? I know Yoko, obviously, we talked about. You mentioned Michaels and Diesel. Luger, right? You worked Luger?
I got to work Lex Luger. Yep, I think he was American. I worked IRS. I got to work, Bob Holly, Shawn Michaels. I got to work Diesel a couple times. Duke the Dumpster Drosy a few times. 1, 2, 3 Kid a few times. I got to do a lot of dark matches as well. For guys that were coming in and just like trying out. I know I did one with Jungle Jim Steele. One time he came in under a hood. Did that at the Pepsi Arena. Just did I say Bob Holly? Yeah, the list is pretty long. I think my most memorable is Owen Hart. That was in the center of Times Square for WrestleMania promotion when Bam Bam Bigelow and Lawrence Taylor wrestled in Hartford, Connecticut. So had the opportunity to go with DeVita Bell, and that was one of the calls. They called us up, and the four of us got in the car, and we drove to downtown there in Manhattan, and we got to wrestle in the center of Times Square, right in the middle of the street. So I got to work Owen Hart there. One thing that's neat about that match, which kind of just Bret Hart posted it and about 2 months ago, and that really kind of made my name start coming up and people reaching out to me for the podcast. So gave me some notoriety. The guy who wrestled Owen Hart in Times Square on the Heart of Gold DVD. So I was really supposed to wrestle Bob Backlund that day. And how that went is we all met at a hotel, and they gave us what's going to happen, and we're going to get on separate buses, a baby face and a heel bus, and they'll both be parked on different sides of the street, and we'll stop traffic to let you guys enter the ring, and they're going to have exhibition matches. So I know Bell and DeVito got to work Luger and Bulldog. They were a tag team at that time, which was pretty cool. So I'm supposed to work Backlund, and we go over our match, and I'm on the bus, and I'm on the bus with LT and all the other baby faces. And all of a sudden, someone comes to me, and again, we don't have cell phones at this time. Someone comes up and goes, "There's a change. Barbieri, you're wrestling Owen Hart." And I'm like, "What?" And now you're in the center of Times Square here on the TV and everything. And I'm going into that match never wrestling him, knowing his spots, but not calling anything. So that match is pretty cool. You can find it on my Instagram, which is WWC_Nick. I got to work him in catch can style, and it came out. The match was really good. I'm very proud of it. It's fun to watch, and it's a great memory of mine. It's really special. It's one of the most unique moments in wrestling too, where those matches weren't televised. So yeah, that's my crowning moment.
Pretty damn cool. The public workout, if you will, for WrestleMania, and it happens just by happenstance. It happens just by luck that you get in there with Owen of all people. I mean, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm. and you build a respect. I know after that, on a couple of the tours, when he started like teaming with Jim Neidhart, then like I was going in the ring and they were trying spots, and you know that's where you kind of get your in. I actually have in my memorabilia box downstairs. He was trying to get me to go to train with Otto Wands. He thought that would have been a good thing for me, and he'd given me his number. And I remember staring at that card like, you know, this is, you know, in the 90s, like a scary moment to make that decision. You know, I think I made some calls, but I don't know if it was a rib on the number. I don't know, but it never came to life.
Man, maybe Owen was ribbing you, right? He was pretty famous for that.
Maybe, but it was legit, like German number, but who knows what kind of where it was going. But anyway.
That's great, though. Imagine if he was ribbing you. That's another. That could be another.
Now that
cool
I just
story.
think it could be. I never thought of it until we had this conversation. So
wow, that would be kind of even cooler for the story if it was a rib. You know?
Yeah, maybe I'll take a picture. I'm gonna have to dig this out. I'll put a note here to take a picture and post this online.
Yeah, you got to do that.
It's in his handwriting too.
Oh, that's cool. Now, that's like one of those things where obviously once YouTube gets a hold of, once Brad posts and gets it, I mean, it like blows up big time. It's very cool. It's like a viral moment, basically. Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
So with Owen, is he like one of the better workers you were in the ring with? I mean, we talk about Steamboat stuff, but would Owen be one of the best guys you worked?
Yes, just smooth and calling it out there. I think when you look at like his spots and everything, watching him for time after time, it was easy to put myself in, know what he was going to do. I think that's the chemistry of, you know, that's why I think it's important to watch wrestling and watch who you're going up against. And, you know, that's something I took seriously when when Lucky Pro asked me to wrestle again, and they told me I was going to work BRG. I'd only heard of him and seen spots from MLW. So like I went back and started looking at all his matches, you know, from Wrestle Open and what I could find like currently on YouTube to kind of say, all right, like how could I put myself in here and how can I make him look good and what can I sell for him? I think selling at 51, that's going to be my strong point. So what can he do to me that I could oversell that and get the sympathy from the crowd? So, you know, that's I think putting that type of research into it helps make the match overall better. And I think, you know, at that time, being a fan and sitting at, you know, when the tapings were happening, all the boys would sit around the TV and watch each other. So I think that it was an important thing that they want to instill, that you just didn't take your stuff and leave. You learn by watching as well.
Big time. How about LOD? What did you think about working with Hawk and Animal?
So that was a cool match. I actually had like a PCL issue with my knee, and it was like buckling. So, you know, I still made the tapings, but how that worked out, that match was like only 4 minutes. So they wanted them to go and kill us. So it kind of worked out awesome because I couldn't actually, like, my knee was like really like hurting me. So I remember they like, you know, they crap can me out of the ring, and then they do the Doomsday Device to Bert Santino. That's what I remember about that one. But I just took like the big, you know, they just beat me up and threw me out of the ring. So it was kind of cool.
It's cool, but also saves you, you know, from having to take that move, you know?
Well, exactly. They're like, the match is only 4 minutes, so let's make us look as strong as we can. We're just going to take you out, do 2 things to him, and well, hit him with the device.
Kind of cool for the resume, though. Again, like another, like, hey, wrestled LOD. You know, not only Michaels and Owen and Steamboat, but LOD. I mean, that's huge.
Yeah. Yeah. You make some of those losses. Flash Funk, I wrestled as well.
Yeah.
And I remember that being, if I could find that anywhere on TV, that was a really good match. I remember.
So random, and because I was looking this up, and I was like, "Wait, Roma came back to the WWF in like late '97, and he was doing dark matches. So what was that? Because you wrestled Roma, right, at like Shotgun Saturday Night. So what was going on with Roma? He was on his way back.
So Roma has a lot of respect for Mr. Fuji, and there is someone called Alex Roma. They're not related, but boy, they're splitting images of each other, probably about 10, 15 years younger. So Paul had Alex go train with Fuji. And then when Alex was ready and came back, Alex and Paul were trying to like do like a brother tag team or cousin tag team. So that's what their dark matches were for.
And you got to work him?
Yeah. And then there was then there was a dark match, excuse me, in between the two tapings that I got to work Roma, which was really, really cool.
Kind of full circle for you a little bit there. Yeah,
it really was. And I had to like talk to him in like a while because like he kind of got away from wrestling after the Four Horsemen thing. He kind of just, the school ended and, the ring went up to Massachusetts and, he didn't hear from Paul again and he was trying another business idea. I know. So, it was like, coming back around. Hey, look at what I've done in the last 5 or 6 years.
The crazy thing about that is with the Horsemen, if you look before that, you look, okay, Roma looks awesome. He's a good worker. The Horsemen, it didn't really work out. So that kind of like sullied the waters, but then watch him with Pretty Wonderful with Orndorff and he's awesome. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, it depends on what he was doing, but he was always a great worker.
Yeah, and especially in the tag team with Jim Powers, and I think that was with Hercules. Like he really
awesome.
Yeah, I think that's what his strong point. I think he tagged with Arn. Did they win the tag belts? Maybe.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. So that's I think as a tag team wrestler that's was where he kind of strived, and that's where he performed well, and he complimented the person with him.
The weird thing is he kind of fits in the Horsemen, except for behind the scenes, the drinking, the partying doesn't fit with them at all. So it's like that kind of ruined it. And people would be like, oh, he didn't fit in. But really behind the scenes, like Mongo in front of the camera doesn't fit. Behind the camera, he fits with the Horsemen because of the partying and stuff. So it's funny like how that works out or perceived to work out.
Yeah. Because you can't really trick the fans, I guess. So like in that, regards. Yep. You'd actually have to like write that in and like show it. You'd have to write how they tainted him, not how he's already joined you.
Yes.
He should have been hazed,
Yeah, there you go. It's a good idea.
There you go, writing scripts right here.
When you're there, right, WWE and WWF, obviously at that point, how many years are you there? Because if you look, it's got to be at least like 6 years or so, right, that you were kind of on and off doing dark matches and TV matches for them?
I want to say about 4 years. So, WCW is, I think, was that like 93 to like 93 era. And then I started like 94 to like 97. And I think I had a couple more later. I probably did it solid for like 3 years. And then like the talent enhancement wasn't as frequent, but I was also like playing competitive rugby at the time. And my team was really good. Like we were able to go to Division II national championships my senior year. So like I was really dedicated to that for like a good 2 years of my life, trying like to be the best rugby player. And I'd pick up things, but I wasn't like training in the ring as much. After I graduated, I worked at Chili's, being a chili head there. And then that's when I decided, and I was looking for jobs teaching, and that's when I started to get back into the business a little bit, like after like 2 years of finishing up school and student teaching and all that. So then I started getting back into the business with that, and that's when I started my own federation called the Millennium Wrestling Association, and that ran like 99 to 2002, maybe 2001, and that was a little bit of the same larger than life characters. I took other people and we turned Aaron Morrison into Blonde Jovi, and Johnny Idol played the masked janitor. So it was all these like larger than life, and the skits were there. So it was like the precursor to Wrestling with Character Live. And at that time, Kurt was, he was training with me up at the school, up at Kevin Landry School. So like he would just help me do everything from, hanging posters to flyer and to setting up the ring. Like we always have that camaraderie together, and that like came together as we started our own promotion.
Who's the worst guy you worked, or a couple of the worst guys? Not worst, it's just as far as maybe stiffing you and maybe you didn't like working them so much.
Kevin Sullivan beat the crap out of me in that match. he everything was stiff, from the tree of woe coming in to every boot and kicking me. Like after I left that, I was just like, holy cow, what did I get myself into? And I remember Sensational Sherry like coming to me and being like really consoling and like, you know, kind of cleaning up the mess for him a little bit, and be like, hey, not everybody's like that, and you know, you got to take your lumps once in a while. But you know, I was taken back after that match because he was so stiff, and you know, kind of
Man,
laid it.
yeah, he used to always do that to like the TV guys or whatever. He would always do that because I was talking to Chad Brock, who obviously became a very famous country singer, and he was he was doing jobs and stuff for WCW for a period of time before he kind of made it big. And then in '99 they bring him in. He's an act on the show, and he's doing his country music thing. So he said Sullivan stiffed him so hard, did the tree of woe, and then like stepped on his back and stuff. He said he could barely walk, like he could barely move after the match. He was just shocked. And he said Sullivan was the booker. You know what I mean? So he's like, you wouldn't expect it from the guy booking the show to do that to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was definitely one I remember, and I'll say right to the front.
It seemed like he worked that way a lot of guys because obviously that Benoit feud. I mean, they just killed each other. But I just remember Chad told me specifically that he really laid it into. He was injured afterwards.
Yeah, and like and after playing rugby and coming back, I was trying to get into the hardcore and following that ECW thing, and like I liked it, but I liked it snug and tight. Yeah, I like to feel it to sell it, I guess, but like I didn't like to feel it to like not sell it because I'm in pain.
Yeah, exactly. But at least you had Sister Sherry there to console you at least.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're nice people.
So as we hit the wind down here and head towards the finish, what's next for you though? What do you got coming up? What's the goal? What's the big plans?
So, personally, I mentioned I'm wrestling a little bit. So PAPW, Larry Huntley's group up in Massachusetts. It's a little bit more working than wrestling. So I've been able to like revive this hippie freak character, and I use Crocs. I wrestle in Crocs, and I use the workmanship, and I get the crowd behind me as a baby face, very relatable. So that's been fun, and I'm picking and choosing. I'd like to do some of the old buildings I did once before. I'd like to wrestle for a couple of the federations that I like been scouting over the talent over the last couple of years. I'd like to maybe get come in and just do just a short little stint or a nostalgic type of stint, kind of a one-off type thing. So that's like the wrestling world-wise. Lucky Pro is another one that I'm going to be returning to in November. So I kind of want to. I still want to perform a little bit, and I get that opportunity to do it. I am a Professor Ulysses Spite, Professor U Spite, in Wrestling with Character Live. So my family created Shockwave the robot, and I try everything to destroy him. But after all folly after folly, he always gets the one up on me, and there's a big dance party after. So I get to do that, and I'm enjoying it. I can get in the ring with that too. We've done that once on the show, so that's cool. But Wrestling with Character Live, we've gotten a good business model down. We have consistency now from our wrestlers to the building, and we're growing our brand locally here in Connecticut. So, getting our first high school show in November, hopefully in March and April, we're got 2 to 3 more coming up, and now we're bringing in other stars besides the Mountie, more nostalgic things, and kind of keeping that feeling going, and putting that vendor, like I mentioned before, that vendor pre-show. I think that's the model we wanted, and that's the model that I want to kind of put forward and make better. So hopefully we could be filling those up and kind of work from there and get other opportunities. And we have ideas for summer, and we have ideas for, maybe more of an adult theme than the just the Wrestling with Character Live type of theme. So we have a lot, and we're meeting people along the way, and it's just an opportunity. And Kurt and I like just being positive, and I think we balance each other out. When things get tough, or Bret Hart cancels your show after you name it on him, and you know, how you both get
Hmm.
level-headed. And, you know, tomorrow we're going to be announcing his replacement, which I think is going to be a good pop, and everybody's really going to like that. It's a nice fill-in. And watching our tickets go up, we've already sold a quarter of the building out. So that's exciting. And, you know, I think if we have that positive energy and we can get this going, and it's going to be a nice, steady job of having fun and entertaining people and meeting new wrestlers and building new friendships and getting opportunities to work with community, and kind of taking what I've learned in teaching and now using it in a business model to go back and help booster clubs and, you know, help people learn how to fundraise again. I think we lost that through COVID. So, you know, that's where I kind of see myself going in the next few years.
Awesome. Where can everybody find and follow the wrestling promotion, obviously, and yourself?
All right. We're Instagram and Facebook, Wrestling with Character Live. WrestlingWithCharacterLive.com is our federation. You can find all our characters there. They got little bios on it. You'll see the wrestling shows that we've had. So you can find everything there. Myself, on Instagram, it's WWC_Nick. And on Facebook, it's Nick Barbieri. So you could find me there, and you can follow that Owen Hart thing. And you joggle my mind on some of this nostalgic stuff that I'm going to look to post out on and share with people. I even think this Jim the Anvil Neidhart match is somewhere on YouTube. So I'm going to go like pull that up and maybe try to post that after I get off of this with you.
I love it, and I know the fans love it too. They love the nostalgia and love pulling the matches they may not have seen before. I know that.
Awesome.
So, Nick, thank you so much for all the time, and good luck with Wrestling with Character Live. Thank you so much for all the time.
All right, John.
Really appreciate
Thank
it.
you. Awesome. Maybe I can come back and we'll do a follow-up when I get this going.
Yes, let's do it. You got to come
Awesome.
back on for sure. Thank you so much, Nick.
You know what we'll do is we'll come on with Curdy, and then we can give you some good stories. So we'll change it up.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Sounds
All right.
great. Thank you, Nick.
Thanks, John.